In the movement transition, guys, there is a fly to inset. It's very interesting and very easy to use also. You will want to start using it, being creative. Let's try it. I will show you how to work with it. Let's select all our footage, the 4 videos here, and create a new composition. You can click and drag and drop it on the icon. Okay, so new composition from selection. You want a single composition and you don't want any sequence. I will show you why. Okay, so you have the 4 videos just stacked on top of each other. Let's take the first one now and go to Fly to Inset. Click on it, drag it and drop it on the layer. Of course, I started from 0 or the endpoint of the layer. Of course, you know now that you want to press U and look at the keyframes. Let's see what the Fly to Inset does. It just reduces the size of your video, not of your layer, the content of your layer, and put it as inset and stabilize, as simple as this. You notice that it is not meant as a transition here. If you press space bar, you're not gonna just put a video in front of the viewer and immediately shrink it to see the one that is after or the one that is under. You don't want to do that. You want to give it some time. The viewer will watch this video for a second or two. In our case, maybe a second is enough. And then you will put it in inset so the viewer can watch the one that is below. Fine, let's do that. So you need to move the keyframes. So for example, I will take them to 1 second. Here you are here. If I go to 1 second, so I write here 100, that's 1 second, and then snap the keyframes here. And then the inset will work. Now we don't have much time, we have only 5 seconds here. So let's reduce the time in between the 2 keyframes. I will press J to go backward to the visible keyframe, and then play with the time here. I want to move forward 15 keyframes. So I will write plus 15, it will move forward 15 frames. Then I will take the last keyframe from here and snap it to the timeline. So now the viewer will watch for 1 second, here you are, then it goes to the inset. Let's do the same for the second layer. So we want to jump 1 second, so I go over here, I write plus 100, then take the Fly to Inset and drop it in on the second layer, of course, open the keyframes using U, and then move on to 15, so I jump forward 15, then take the last keyframe and just put it over here. Here you are. Now they are very nice, but they are on top of each other. Cool. Let's do something. Let's try to arrange the position. I will solo this layer because it will be easy to explain to you, and click on the solo button. This is the solo here. I will solo it, meaning I will only see this layer and work only on this layer. Now that's what's happening here. If you put on the toggle mask and shape path visibility, you notice that the size of the video here is as big as the composition, but its content is being reduced. This is because of the transform that is put over here. We'll work that at the end of this course. I will show you what transform does. For now, let's decide how can we move the inset. You don't want to move your video. If you adjust your video like this, and you notice now it's not really right, you move the video. You don't want to do that. So I will undo. You want to move only the inset. So select Fly to Inset. You notice that you have a small circle with a couple of lines inside. This is what you want to move. This is the target position. If I scrub through, you notice this is the target position, or you can click on it and just move it around. Now if I have a single video, I will do that. But if I'm using several videos, then I won't click and drag because it's very hard to align them. I prefer using the numbers here. So this one, let's say I'll put it at 220, and over here let me make it 150. Okay, so I know it's 220 by 150. This is the position of the inset. Fine. Let's now remove the solo and we can see the bottom layer. Let's move to the inset. So the inset is gonna come over here. Let's change its position. So we'll make it 220 like the previous one and 150. So you put them on top of each other. Now, the way I'll do it is I take target position from here and just move it to the right. And I want 3 of them, so I'll try to center it as much as possible. You notice how it's centered. Cool. Let's work now with the third layer. Our animation is pretty nice. You watch the first video, then it goes inset, second video goes inset, and now let's do the last video. So we come to the last keyframe here. And of course, you want to jump, for example, 1 second. So that is plus 100. Then you take the fly to inset and drop it on the last layer here. Of course, you want to see the keyframes, and you want to jump 15 frames forward. And then here you are. Now, where is the last one? It came under here. Fine. Let's select the layer, go to fly to inset. Let's put it at the same position, 220 by 150. That's our startup. Then scrub through and try to align it as much as possible. Here you are. It looks aligned very nicely. Let's run our animation and see if we have done a good job. So we watch this one for a second. It goes inset. It goes inset. We watch the other one and inset. And finally, we are watching the bottom layer here, where we don't make it an inset. You will get some black. Now, this is how to use the fly to inset, and it's very nice. You don't have to put them in a straight line. You can just put them, vertically if you like, or anywhere on the screen, 1, 2, 3. And if you had videos with longer time, it will be even much more interesting. Let's go back to the preset, select fly to inset, press Ctrl A or Command A on the Mac, and we select them all, twirl up, and notice we have so many effects that are put here. We have the crop effect, we have the Vegas effect for the frame. The frame over here is the Vegas effect, and we have the transform and drop shadow. Some of them you can play around with them, like the drop shadow you could. I would not suggest you play with the transform. It will mess up the animation itself. But somehow you are still in control and you have your insets, and it's a very beautiful introduction to several videos if you're doing, for example, a documentary. If you do games or video games, if you record your own games, this will be very interesting. So you're showing the big scenery about here, I don't know, people fighting, shooting, and you have your own inset here, how you are playing, or vice versa. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you already have lots of ideas on how you want to use it on your own videos. Thank you. I'll see you in the next lecture.